If you were absent on Monday, October 26th, here's what you missed. First, we went over our weekly objectives. Those are up here, 10:26 to 10:30. You'll just need to check off all of the objectives at the bottom, and that'll kick an email back to you so that you know what you're responsible for this week. Then we introduced 2 new vocab words. That's down here under lesson 4, either lesson 4 in person or lesson 4 VIP. You'll need to fill in the blank slides for our first 2 words, and then you'll need to contribute to Nearpod your example sentences if you are a VIP kid. After that, we watched the video about the insanity plea. That is posted on today's assignments right here. It's just 3 minutes. It explains a little bit about how difficult it is to plead insanity and what works, like what things make it so a person can be considered legally insane and thus needs treatment instead of going to jail as punishment. After that, I assigned sides. So you are going to decide whether, or you are going to argue whether you think that the narrator should go to jail or should go to treatment. So he's either sane and should be punished, or he's insane and should go to treatment. And people looked for quotes for that. So a little bit of background about the insanity plea. If you are pleading insanity, it means that you are unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of your acts because of a severe mental disease or defect. Legal insanity means that at the time of the crime, the killer couldn't distinguish fantasy from reality, can't tell right from wrong, and was not in control of their behavior. It's something that's not used very frequently. It's used in fewer than 1% of all cases, and of that 1%, only about 26% succeed. So if we have 1,000 murder cases, 10 out of the 1,000 will try using the insanity defense, and only 2 of the 1,000 will actually succeed. If you are found not guilty by reason of insanity, then it's not that you just get to go back to living your regular life. You go to a psychiatric hospital, and a lot of times people spend more time in that psychiatric hospital than they would if they had gone to jail. So a person might get 20 years for a murder sentence, but usually if you successfully plead insanity, you are so sick that what you have is probably incurable, and you might spend even longer in a psychiatric facility. So this is not a get out of jail free card. It's something that the person gets a treatment that they need instead of punishment for something that they weren't able to control. We have 2 sides here. So we have prosecution and we have defense. So prosecution means that you would be arguing that the narrator is guilty of murder and should be put in prison. So you're saying that he is completely sane, knew what he was doing, was in control of his actions at the time of the murder, and thus should go to jail. If you are on the defense, then you are arguing that the narrator is insane and needs to be put in a psychiatric hospital and shouldn't be punished. He needs treatment instead. There are different tests of insanity. So there's the one that says that they're unable to distinguish fantasy from reality. They are or are not able to perform tasks independently. So if the person is sane, they can do these things. If the person is insane, they cannot do these things. They can or cannot control their behavior. They can or cannot tell right from wrong, and they do or do not have reasonable reactions. So if a tiny thing sets the person off, and the reactions are not what we would consider rational, then that might be a test of insanity. VIP kids, you can choose which side you would like to argue. In-class kids, I will let you know what side you are on whenever you come back, or if you email me, I can let you know. You're going to be then using this form. It's under the same assignment. You're going to be using this to help you lay out your argument. So the quote goes over here. For me, I use the reason that the person has a diagnosed mental illness, which is not a reason that you're allowed to use because I'm stealing it from you. But I use the quote, "The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and in earth. I heard many things in hell." And I have the paragraph number here. You're going to drag over the reasons. So you can see up here, I've laid out both reasons, or both arguments, and then all of the different reasons. So you're going to drag over your argument. and your reason. And then in this space, you explain how your quote explains your reason. So for me, I'm trying to explain how this quote shows that he has a diagnosed mental illness. And I say, he says that he has a disease that makes other people say that he is mad. While we don't know much about the disease and we don't have a name for it, we do know that it's something that makes him have paranoid hallucinations. His diagnosis means he needs treatment, not punishment. So I'm arguing that he needs psychiatric treatment, and I'm using this quote as an example. You are going to do that for 3 quotes from the story, arguing your side. So you'll click and drag your argument into this space. You'll click and drag your reason into this space. If you're arguing that he's guilty, you're saying that he can do these things. So you would delete the cannot part. And then you're going to explain your reasoning down here. That is due tomorrow. And then tomorrow we end up in groups for people to compare. Email me if you need to know which side you're on. And like I said, VIP kids, you get to decide on your own. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll be happy to help.